Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. MJ Hurley here with Joe Arijo for the Immaculate Perceptions podcast here at Game On Wisconsin. Mr. Joe, you've had quite the day, and I have one question for you. Are you still hungry?
Man, look, I'm hungrier than two fat hoes sitting up on cornflakes. That's where I'm at right now.
I'm good. I just had dinner. We went to Logan's Roadhouse. I stuffed myself with rolls. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very full.
Yeah. So, look, before we get to food and Packers, let's start by congratulating you and your lovely wife Paige on getting married over the
Thank you.
Very happy for you.
Well, she can't hear you right now, but she's sitting right next to me. There she is.
So,
yes.
I mean, like, I know I was invited to the wedding and couldn't make it out, but I do have one discrepancy. Seeing all the pictures and to the wedding. Like, of all people, you let Bruce in. Like, what the
Yes, I did.
Actually allowed him to come.
And there's actually
Okay, real quick.
Bruce, I need you to get the picture of you dancing.
I'll put it up. And so I got to download
it. Bruce was actually a very integral part of all of the partying and everything. He and his wife did a very good job of keeping everyone on the dance floor. I was skeptical, but we partied. We had a good time. Bruce also helped Paige's dad keep going through his speech when he started crying.
I did, yes.
Yeah, Bruce was fantastic from beginning to end. Yeah, Paige approves.
Well, real quick though, before enough about me. It was honestly, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. So much fun. The venue was absolutely gorgeous.
It was great.
Just everything you guys did. I thank you from the bottom of mine and my wife's heart. Like, you guys were amazing. Paige was beautiful. You were handsome. It was a great time, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Screw you, Joe, trying to talk some shit over there. This guy. Just because I'm a Bears fan, you gotta say some shit. Okay, that's cool. All right, have some fun, guys. Let's have a good show. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, it was great. We even actually already got pictures back too, which was super fun. I cry every time I see Bruce too. Yeah, I agree.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, it was great. We already got pictures back. So I've been scrolling through those all day. I'm mostly just trying to recover mostly physically, because my body hurts from dancing, because I'm not normally a dancing guy, which Joe knows. He saw me go party, and I mostly just like sat there and kind of bopped the whole time. And then
you're a player in the Himalayas, Romy Rome. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was just chilling. But I actually danced on Saturday, and then I did like 35 hours of driving in 5 days combined for everything. So I'm a little beat. I go back to work tomorrow, so I've just been doing a lot of sleeping and rest. I know. I'm not excited about it, but
no, I need a week to recover. Period.
Literally. Bro, my left Achilles still hurts a little bit. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm on the pup list right now. Physically unable to perform.
I feel good, by the way. My ass was doing some crazy, stupid shit, and I feel great.
Oh yeah. Bruce was all over the place, but it was great. So yeah, enough about me. We're here to talk Packers.
Okay, let's get
yeah, so Joe, we got some training camp action.
yeah.
I know there's specifically a couple trains that you want to go on, but first and foremost, something that I've been hearing a lot is just how incredibly good the defense is. And Matt LaFleur's been getting on everybody, every part of the team for their urgency, all of that good stuff. But I've heard a lot of good things about the defense. So for you, Joe, what's been the most encouraging thing? What are you excited to hear coming out of camp?
That the defense is good. Like, right, that's number one. Like, the reality is, this is a team that has potentially 7 first-round picks on defense. Like,
yes,
that's like Baltimore Ravens 90s, late 90s, early 2000s-esque type thing that we're building through the defense.
Right.
And the fact that that's secondary, man. Look, the best corner in the game, I don't care who says what, is Jair Alexander. He's paid like it. He's that guy, and he's out there locking. I mean, they're not even throwing his way. Like
in training camp.
And it's not that, and he's going against Alan Lazard, and Cobb, and they're not. Rodgers and Love isn't even throwing his way.
Right.
So do you have that side? Eric Stokes is poised to take a jump, and remember, he didn't play in any preseason games last year.
Right. And he didn't play in any preseason games. There were multiple games where he was essentially the number one guy, and he still played as well as he did.
Exactly. And then you got Rasul Douglas, who he's even picking off, on one-on-one indie time where, we were just, let's just go routes on air, and he's picking balls off.
Right.
And then, Keyshawn Nixon, it's a little groin, so it's tugging at him and nothing major. Key will be back. You got John that's out there, that balling out. You got Gafford out there balling out. Like this team, there's something special going on the defensive side of the ball, and that's something that is one of the two most. Those are one of the two things that I'm most excited about. What about you, MJ?
Listen, when I hear coming from Aaron Rodgers himself that he told the offense, we're going to get our butts kicked all of camp by this defense. That's what I love to hear, because lights a fire under the offense, right? Get that competitiveness going, which is something LaFleur's mentioned, that they really like how competitive everyone's been. A lot of that is because, especially on the offensive side of the ball, there are so many young guys. And so they're all fighting for those spots, also on special teams, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I think the biggest impact is going to be this offense may appear young, inexperienced. We've talked about the wide receiver room, all of that stuff. But there's two things. Number one, when you have Aaron Rodgers lighting a fire under you for a month, when you have that guy lighting a fire under you every morning, that's going to make you better. And two, when you're playing against what's consensus a top 3 defense in the NFL every day for a month before you see anyone else, then that makes you even better. So that's what I'm excited for, is the impact, the speed, and the skill of the defense is going to have across the entire team.
100%. I think the other thing that I'm most excited about, and I've taught in our text chain, I was very vocal about this last week. Very vocal. Romeo Doubs, okay? I've watched this guy for 3+ years,
right,
covering UNLV here in Vegas, tearing up the Mountain West, tearing up the secondary, of every team in the Mountain West. There wasn't a team that contained him. Now all of a sudden, and when they drafted him, I was like, he's going to make everybody very happy. That was, I think we got some receipts with that, don't we?
I believe we do. Let's see.
So,
yep.
April 30th, you steal. So I'm going to go on record. If y'all want to hop aboard the Dobbs train, I'm the conductor. I'm the ticket agent. I put the coals in the engine. We're rolling. But the Dobbs train is driven by me. He'll be the Packers' #1 receiver by the end of camp. Actually, by the end of the year. And that 1,134-yard record for a rookie receiving yard, that could be broken this year by week 13. I think he's going to ball out. If barring
week 13?
Bro, I'm telling you. Look at Dobbs, to me, was a better pick than Watson. No disrespect to Christian Watson. He's
right.
Height, weight, measurable, RAS score, all that great. But Dobbs is the baller. And like I said last week,
wow.
I said it during the draft show when we're
yep.
doing the draft show. He reminds me a lot of Devontae Adams coming out, except he's a little bit faster. MJ, I'm telling you, Dobbs is the real deal, bar none.
Joe, you're getting me a little excited. I'm not gonna lie.
You know.
Because
You're welcome, Paige.
and because that's the one thing that the video gets better every time I watch it. Because that's the one knock that anyone in the league has been able to put on the Packers is, oh, they don't have a number one receiver. So if you just give Rodgers a seamless transition, also you hear that clip, literally the day after our show, Rodgers was talking, and they asked him about. I believe Ryan Wood asked him, "Hey, how's Lazard doing as the number one wide receiver?" Looks straight into the camera, smiles, and goes, "Well, when you go from one Hall of Famer to another."
Loved it.
I love that. First of all, Rodgers is all in on the memes, and that he's just having fun with it. Joe sounds like every single Cowboys fan at the start of the season, except we actually win football games. It's crazy. But let's move on.
Look, I'm not reaching when it comes to Dobbs. I've watched this guy. I've literally watched this guy torch defense. I mean, when I mean torch, I mean you can't stop him. And he returns punts. So you bring up, Rich Bisaccia's impact, right?
Right.
He could be the punt returner.
He can literally do it all. This Hall of Famer already. This is something I'm very excited to talk about.
Oh, hold on, MJ. There we go. He had breaking news, Bruce.
What is Bruce doing?
Bruce is going nuts right now.
I'm sorry, it was because of the Hall of Fame thing. It's breaking news. So.
Oh, okay. Breaking news: Romeo Doubs is a Hall of Famer. But no, this is something I'm excited to get your take on, Joe, because you were in Vegas. You were able to see what Rich could do, not just with special teams, but what he was able to do with the Raiders. And what was a very tumultuous season last year, he was able to kind of bring them all together. And from what I've heard so far, everybody loves him in Green Bay. So, Joe, give everybody a little bit more insight into what we really have as just our special teams coordinator.
Rich Bisaccia is the epitome of a player's coach, but because as a player, all you want is your coach to be honest with you and transparent, and that's what he is. The coach you hard, he's going to love you hard. Typical great Italian man. This us Italian guys, that's what we do. We
You're
coach
Italian?
hard, we love hard. It's what we do. And Bisaccia is that guy. He's got so much experience coaching special teams in this league and doing it at the highest level, having at one point the top special teams group and never being a bottom tier special teams guy. Players respond to that. Last year with the Raiders, it was a year where you got to understand, like, Gruden stuff comes out with the emails. And then Henry Ruggs kills somebody driving drunk. And then 4 days later, Damon Arnett threatens a kid on TikTok and tells him to pull up and he's got his AR-15 on him. And then
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's just one thing after another. And this team stayed the course. And that was because of Bicaccia and his leadership. But
right.
You talk to people around the league, they'll tell you that they've thought for years that he should be a head coach. And a lot of the players in the Raiders organization really, banged the table to have him be their next head coach. And Mark Davis decided to go a different route. And I can tell you this with 100% certainty. Keyshawn Nixon, who's going to be probably the best special teamer Green Bay's had, maybe since Jared Bush, and maybe even going back further than that. Keyshawn, the reason he chose Green Bay is because of Rich Bisaccia, and he had other options.
Right.
Dallin Leavitt, same thing. Another special teams guy that's going to come in and make an impact, and that's because of Bicaccia. Bisaccia's impact is going to go far and beyond special teams. Players in this locker room are going to love him, and if they don't already.
So, Joe, I'm curious, how long will Bicaccia actually stay in Green Bay? Is this a one and done? Because, I don't want to get people too excited over what we have here. And then, like you said, and even Matt LaFleur has said, I believe it was yesterday, I don't know how this guy isn't a head coach. So how long do you think he actually stays in Green Bay? And how long will we actually have this joyous special teams coordinator from the gods?
You know, that remains to be seen. If he doesn't get a head coaching job this year, I see him coming back.
Okay.
I can see him being there as long as they want him there and he likes it there, and unless he gets a head coaching job. I mean, from everybody that I've talked to that's there, not only loves him, but they think he's gonna. You know, he loves it there. From what they're saying, that it's great to be in a football town. It's great to be in a place where football is king, where the team is the most important thing. Winning is the most important thing. Those are things that Bicaccia covets, and he relies on relationships. So I think in a lot of ways, you're looking at a guy that could be in Green Bay for quite some time if he doesn't become a head coach anytime soon.
So I'm, moving on to some different expectations. I'm curious, and I know this will get you riled up a bit. So Mark Murphy does his thing every year where he talks to the Green Bay fan base. Everybody knows the drill there.
Every year or every week when he writes something, like, people want to hear it. But hey, go ahead.
Well, that's true as well. And Mark prides himself as being a man of the people in Green Bay. I'm curious, Joe, some of his comments, including like Mark expects Green Bay to get the draft in the next 5 years, either 2025 or 27, I believe, which was very surprising to me. I don't feel like has been talked enough about on Packers Twitter, really, because I don't think anybody believes it. So, Joe, go off.
Okay, like you were here for the draft. You're here in Vegas, right?
Yes.
I love Green Bay. Been up there a few times. Love it. Literally, if
Great
I could
place.
move there, I would. If I could,
Same.
I would leave Vegas right now to move to Green Bay. That's how much I love it. No, I'm not even joking. I'm dead ass serious.
Right.
Okay.
If I could get a job in Green Bay and she could work or do med school or whatever, I would love to be. Yeah.
Okay. That being said, every hotel in Las Vegas was booked up. Not just the big properties. I'm talking about the Seagull
The
Suite.
Comfort Inn and Suites.
Yes.
22 minutes away. Yeah.
Motel 6. Like Travel Live.
Everything.
So you're going to tell me you're going to have that in Green Bay with how many hotels there?
7. Maybe.
There's 7 on one side of the strip in a quarter block mile or quarter mile. In a block, like it. Let's be realistic about it. There is no better place to have the draft than in Green Bay. There's no better place to have the draft or have anything football related than in Green Bay. That is the mecca of football, period. Lambeau Field is the mecca. But you got to build up that area now to be able to host something like that. Because Nashville blew it out the roof when they had it. But Vegas took it somewhere else. Good luck. Good luck, Kansas City, or wherever it is next year. Good luck.
It is Kansas City. And I even was able to see Cleveland and then Vegas. And so, granted, I won't knock Cleveland because it was right in the middle of COVID, basically. It was a year after COVID. And there were still some limitations into what they could do. Couldn't party as much as they want to, but I really think that however long I end up covering the NFL, after doing the draft in Vegas, I don't know how you're supposed to beat that. Like, I don't know how you're supposed to, from an entertainment aspect for the NFL, not talking about the actual functionality of the draft. Because, yeah, Green Bay could host the draft. I'm talking about, I don't even know if Green Bay could actually do that, I'll be honest.
The parties, the all the other things that the week long that goes into it. Right. I mean, I seen how long it took for them to break stuff down at the strip from here. And it wasn't a day or two. It was like 3 or 4 days that traffic was messed up on the strip. And I got told this. The exact term was the Nashville blew the roof off of the draft, but Vegas blew the roof, took it out the stratosphere. And I wouldn't be surprised if Vegas had like a once every 3 to 4 year in a rotation where they come back to Vegas. Somebody with the NFL
Yeah.
told me that's something that they really would like to do, is have it back here every 3 to 4 years. Almost like the PGA has, they rotate like whatever in terms of like St.
The
Andrews.
Open yeah, right.
Same type of deal. But here's the thing about Mark Murphy. I loved Bob Harlan because Bob Harlan knew his role, which was handle the business and don't say anything unless you absolutely need to. You're not the owner of the Packers, Mark Murphy. You're the president.
Right.
And you got a few more years and then you're out. And you're lucky you're the president now because the person that Bob Harlan originally wanted to be president got in some hot water, if you remember correctly. So I just wish Mark Murphy would just shut up and play the back. Like, let Gutekunst, let LaFleur, let Rodgers, you be the ones. Because what he was saying about Rodgers last year, dude, it made things worse. He should have shut the hell up.
Yeah, there's no reason in terms of making the team better or anything. We already know he doesn't really need to do anything for the business to run because the Packers made more money than they ever have. And he's not really helping the football field by doing anything. So why are you talking? It doesn't actually do anything.
Sometimes he's talking, he doesn't say anything. Like, oh yeah, Matt and Brian and Russ are going to be here for a long time. So you have contract, you guys extended them. Yeah, we're not going to get into that, right? Well, you just said it without saying it.
Right.
Like, shut up. Jeez.
That
Mark Murphy's a sore subject.
I hate Mark Murphy. But what I don't hate is the Packers defense. And so, Joe, I posed this question to you, which I know you have a very interesting answer. Do the Green Bay Packers have the best defense since their 2010 Super Bowl run? And is this the best secondary in the NFL?
Okay. Yes, but I wouldn't use 2010, MJ. I'm going to 96.
Going all the way back, what is that,
96.
26 years?
You do the math. Yeah.
Yeah, 26 years, I believe.
So you look at it. So I'm going to go through the starters on the 2010 team. Ryan Pickett, B.J. Rozzi, Colin Jenkins, Clay Matthews, A.J. Hawk, Desmond Bishop, Frank Zombo, Charles Woodson, Tramon Williams, Charlie Prepper, Nick Collins. Let's throw in Sam Shields and Atari Bigby as well, correct?
Yes.
Just throw them in there because
Correct.
they played integral roles on that team. Then you go to, I think defensive line-wise, you have the three guys there with Pickett, Raji, and Jenkins. That was really good. I think this D-line could be a little bit better than that. The linebacking core of Matthews, Hawk, Bishop, and Zombo. Matthews was the only real impactful linebacker. And I say that, no disrespect to A.J. Hawk. A lot of the tackles he had were beyond the line of scrimmage. They were tackles that weren't behind the line of scrimmage. Desmond Bishop was the was the enforcer, the mean dude. But Desmond was real good. And Frank Zombo was there because the other side, there wasn't one. He kind of just came out of nowhere and they gave him, he earned it. And he gave him everything he got. Now you look at the secondary with Woodson, Williams, Shields, Pepper, and Collins. Look, Woodson's a Hall of Famer. Tramon Williams, it will be in the Packers
Hall of Fame. Yeah.
And I think Sam Shields will as well. But Pepper was in Big B, like they took over and they were okay. And then you had Nick Collins, who, if Nick didn't get hurt, he's potentially a Hall of Famer. Right. But that was a good defense. But you look at that 96 defense, you can think it's a little bit different because they ran 4 D linemen, but Reggie White, Gilbert Brown, Santana Dotson, and Sean Jones. That is, you got really 2 Hall of Famers. I think Sean Jones belongs there. I think Dotson and Gilbert Brown, Packers Hall of Fame, 100%. But so that line obviously is better than what we currently have in Green Bay. But the linebackers, this is where things get interesting. Wayne Simmons, Jordan Kuntz, and Brian Williams. Now you look at Quay Walker, Devondre Campbell, because they're only going to run 2 backers. And let's say Chris Barnes, if you want to throw Chris Barnes in there. Well, Simmons and Walker are the same type of linebacker. Mean, nasty, fast, knock your dick in the dirt. Kuntz isn't as athletic as Vondre. Brian
Yeah.
Williams was. Koontz was more like the Chris Barnes type.
Yeah.
So, but I like this group as far as athleticism and potential impact more than the 96 group. And then the secondary, Newsome, Evans, Tyrone Williams. Congratulations to Leroy Butler going to the Hall of Fame and Eugene Robinson.
Absolutely.
Now, and then they have Mark Pryor. So when you look at the corners, it's Jair and Newsome. I take Jair over Newsome, and I love Craig Newsome. Eric Stokes and Doug Evans. I think Stokes is better than Evans. Rasul Douglas and Ty Williams. I'll take Sewell over Williams. And then you go to your dime back, Shamar John Charles or Keyshawn Nixon, Roderick Mullen and Corey Dowden. Corey Dowden played in 9 games. Okay, I like the depth of this secondary better. Safety-wise, Leroy Butler, Adrian Amos. Butler's a Hall of Famer, but Amos plays similar to Butler in a lot of ways. Darnell Savage and Eugene Robinson. Darnell Savage is you put him in, let him get open, let him run that, basically that free safety and go up and get the ball. He could be dangerous like Eugene Robinson was. And then Mark Pryor and Tyree Carpenter. Pryor had some big picks for them, had a good career. Carpenter hasn't played a game yet. What they would do is roll Butler down into the slot most of the time when they went dime, and then Pryor would take the other safety spot. So it's kind of different. But I think this defense compares more favorably to the 96 team than it does the 2010 team.
I think the biggest place that it'll compare better to the 2010 team is in the dynamic aspect. And I don't mean that necessarily in their athleticism or their speed, but the reason the 2010 defense was so good was because they created so many turnovers. That's why the Packers went on the run that they did. Aaron Rodgers was great. The offense had some really good moments, including in the 2010 Super Bowl. However, the reason they were able to get to that Super Bowl, was honestly kind of because I believe it was Brandon Jackson that went on that crazy run as the running back and was good for
James Starks.
James Starks, thank you very much. For like 6 games. Brandon Jackson was the third down back. And then it was because of the defense. And so you had times where Rodgers and the offense couldn't get anything done, but that 2010 team, they got sacks. And even if they may not have had the name power or actually had the sack numbers during the regular season, they had a lot of big plays. And I think that will be the biggest quality of this defense. Like you were talking about earlier, Joe, they're not even throwing against Jair in camp. Aaron Rodgers isn't even throwing at Jair in camp. And so you're getting Douglas and you're getting Stokes who are getting interceptions, and everybody is getting interceptions in camp because nobody will throw at Jair Alexander. And so if you take that into the NFL, it will be incredible throughout the year what this team can do in turnovers. And when you have Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith attacking the quarterback, that makes it even better. And so I think maybe in terms of, actual athletic qualities and actual play on the field, they might translate better to 96. But I think their turnovers, which is really the biggest part, will be what compares to 2010 better.
And the thing I like about what you said, Rashawn Gary has taken a leadership role. And I think you're seeing that more with him and Jair Alexander. Like those two have really taken a different role in terms of their room. And Adrian Amos, who's been one, and Kenny Clark. But to have the report come out yesterday that Rashawn Gary goes into the second unit's huddle and fires them up,
Yep.
in a team period, like you want that out of your emerging superstars. And I think he's poised to take an even bigger jump. He's already was at times dominant last year. I think he's about to take an even bigger step. And kudos for Brian Gutekunst to pull the trigger and seeing something, because I didn't know about that pick. If I'm being a buck,
right?
I was not sure. I was he was hurt at me. He didn't. But then I went back and started watching Michigan tape, and he's getting double and triple teamed all the time. And that's with Mo Hurst next to him at D tackle. And it's like, wait, maybe. And then we're going to stand him up. I'm like, is he going to be lost in space?
Right.
No, he made himself even better. And it's like, okay, he's the real deal. Jacob Westendorf's adopted son is the real deal.
His son.
And so him, barring injury, this defense is poised, to make huge impacts. And that secondary is going to be in part the reason why, because they're going to be able to cover, which means those guys, those linemen and those backers are going to be able to get to the quarterback and create pressure. And then they create pressure, ball goes in the air. Guess what happens? Ball gets picked and going the other way for 6. And just like today with Justin Fields going through his stuff, missing wide open receivers, having his worst day at practice. That's right. Justin Fields.
Joe, you know who would have made Justin Fields a lot better is Sterling Sharp.
Like anybody.
Sterling would have made anybody better. And with the Hall of Fame game right around the corner this weekend, we have to talk about Sterling Sharp. And it's this Thursday. I thought the Hall of Fame game was Saturday. It's Thursday?
The game is Thursday. I think the inductions are Saturday.
Oh, sweet. Okay. The induction might be Saturday. Okay, so game is Thursday, induction is Saturday. And this is something that Joe knows a lot more about because he's old, and I was not alive for Sterling Sharp playing football. So, Joe, is Sterling Sharp Hall of Fame worthy?
Yes, and it's a long time coming. Look, I wrote a piece on Game On Wisconsin about this, as well as Franchise Sports Media. Sterling Sharp, the only receiver that you could compare Sterling Sharp to during his career is Jerry Rice. In 7 seasons, Sterling Sharp had 595 receptions for 8,134 yards and 65 touchdowns. Jerry Rice, during his first 7 seasons, had 526 receptions for 9,072 yards and 93 touchdowns. Now, I took a few more receivers and wanted to put their numbers to it. Terrell Owens had 512 receptions for 7,470 yards and 72 touchdowns. Randy Moss, 574 receptions for 9,142 yards and 90 touchdowns. Calvin Johnson, 572 receptions for 9,328 yards and 66 touchdowns. Antonio Brown, before going cuckoo, has 632 receptions for 8,377 yards and 50 tuggies. And Julio Jones had 497 receptions for 9,054 yards and 43 touchdowns. Every single one of those players either will be or already are in the Hall of Fame. Now, Sharp's 65 career touchdowns are as many as Hall of Famer Michael Irvin, despite playing 5 fewer seasons. During the same years playing in the NFL, Sharp's numbers definitively were better than any of the future Hall of Famers with less talent around him. Okay, now let's say Michael Irvin. I read you Sharp's numbers. Irvin's numbers were 416 yards for 6,930, or 416 receptions for 6,935 yards and 40 touchdowns. Sharp was a 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time NFL reception leader, including being the first person in over 50 years to catch for 100 balls in back-to-back seasons. 2-time NFL touchdown leader, and led the NFL in receiving yards in 92. He obviously was elected to Green Bay's Hall of Fame in 2002. Here's the deal, though. Here are his quarterbacks. Now, Michael Irvin had Troy Aikman.
Right.
Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Steve Young, and Steve Bono. Terrell Owens, Steve Bono, and Steve Young. Randy Moss, Tom Brady, Dante Culpepper, Randall Cunningham, Warren Moon, Calvin Johnson. Okay, Calvin's numbers are different, but he still had Matthew Stafford. Big Ben with Antonio Brown, and Julio had Matty Ice. Sterling Sharp had Don Majkowski and Randy Wright in 88. In 89, had Don Majkowski in a fantastic year. In 90, he had Majkowski, Anthony Dilwig, and Blair Keel. In 91, Majkowski, Tom Zach, and Keel. And then in 92, after 3 games, Brett Favre took over, and it was Favre. From his peer standpoint, the only corner you could talk to about Sterling Sharp, I think, in that era is Deion Sanders. Deion is, when it comes to corners, he's at or near the top.
Right.
Deion said this to Rich Eisen. Quote, "The guy should be in the Hall of Fame, who is one of the most physical, one of the best route runners, one of the best receiving guys I've ever played against, and that's Sterling Sharp. let me tell you something, man. When you line up and bump, he's going to take your face mask off and your shoulder pads off. And if you back off, he's going to catch the ball. And how you going to make that tackle? Sterling Sharp deserves to be in the same category as Gale Sayers, as TD, Terrell Davis, guys who didn't play a long time. And I'll say this too. Even Kurt Warner, who shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame before Sterling Sharp. And if you ask Shannon Sharp, Sterling's better than Shannon. I'm just saying, the case is already made.
This case is already made too.
Yeah, but no, you're still ugly. Thank you, Jacob.
He's not wrong with this one either. Our loving owner and the boss man, and this is not wrong either. Let's put it this way. People watch us talk about sports not because we're fun to look at.
No, they want to hear about Sterling
That's
Sharp
for sure.
more.
Exactly. And Joe, just so the people can be even more impressed, how many of those numbers do you actually have written down?
A couple. Not a lot, but a couple.
A couple of them. Not many.
I mean, look, the dude, there's only one player that you could compare him to. Like, you had Herman Moore during that time that was in the run and shoot. He had Barry Sanders. You had Andre Rison, playing in the run and shoot. Andre Reed in the running, playing in a run and shoot.
Yeah.
You had Perry Kemp, Kidrick Taylor, Mark Ingram, a young Robert Brooks, Sanjay Beach. Those are the receivers playing next to Sterling Sharp. Ed West is your tight end. Ed West.
Ed West. Yes.
Ed West side. I mean, that's it. Vince Workman is your running back. You had no running game. Zero. I mean, Edgar Bennett toward 93, 94, that's when he broke the curse and ran for 1,000 yards. And then you had Dorsey Levens and Amon Green and everybody, the influx of running coming in. He had nobody. And he's putting up these numbers while Jerry Rice had Dwight Clark, J.J. Stokes, Terrell Owens. Jake Reed and Chris Carter were opposite of Randy Moss.
Yeah.
And Julio had, I forget his name, Roddy White opposite of Julio. Every one
and then
of those
Calvin
guys,
Ridley later in his career. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Michael Irvin had Alvin Harper and Jay Novacek and Emmitt Smith. All those guys had everything. While Sterling Sharp had nothing. And he still put up them numbers. And the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame right now is because he did the media wrong after his rookie year. No, he was pissed off because they said you only had one touchdown after your rookie year. What's wrong with you? No, only broke the rookie reception record at the time, and
it's not his fault. The team was trash.
Exactly. And then, so the local media gave him a bunch of crap. So he's like, okay, I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm going to talk to only the national media. And that's what he did. And so they held that against him because they thought he was a prick. No, look at what he did on the field. What he did on the field constitutes him going into the Hall of Fame and should be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, Bruce. I said something wrong. So
Constitution.
Yeah, it is in my Constitution. The Sterling Sharp should be a Hall of Fame.
It's in Joe's Constitution.
Yeah, Constitution of the United States of Arrigo.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
I love that you totally knew I said some shit in his ear.
I don't have to look. I already know.
Bro,
For those of you who don't know, I don't wear my hood just because I have Bruce in my ear. I wear it because I feel like a hoodlum. No, it's just cold in my apartment. But I have Bruce in my ear talking to me. Joe refuses because he's an admirable old man. But Bruce says some stupid stuff in my ear all show just to keep me entertained.
I don't want to hear Bruce.
That's fair. But Joe, what we're going to move on to, and you're completely unprepared for this, which is why it will be even better, is we're going to start something we're going to do every single week. We're going to start the Fumble of the Week, which is basically something that happened with the Green Bay Packers or anything really in sports in the last week that we don't like or is stupid or something bad that somebody did that we can make fun of in the past week. So Joe, if you don't have something, I can go first for you, but I'm probably
You
going
can
to
go first. And I have something, but you can go first.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is all of the people on Packers Twitter who just out of nowhere think that Romeo Dubs is good, and not to yell at Jacob because I love Jacob, but Romeo Dubs, fistful, by the way. Romeo Dubs with a fistful contact practice today. In the immortal words of Tupac, still ballin'. So first of all, Jacob doesn't know how to spell, and I caught it. I have the receipts. And number two, dude, people are going straight from why did we take Romeo Dubs to he's going to be a Hall of Famer. There's literally an account on Twitter right now where it's the guy's name in parentheses, Dubs Hall of Fame case. And so people are going from why did we pick this guy to Hall of Famer. And so to the comment earlier about Joe being like a Cowboys fan, at least Joe has been consistent about his hype for Romeo Dubs. And this applies to all sports fans. Just calm yourself when it comes to expectations and all of that. Joe at least has been consistent. If you haven't been consistent, shut up.
Yeah, I've said April 30th. 5-something p.m.
Yeah, Joe's been saying it for months. If you haven't been saying it for months, then let's calm down a little bit. You can say it about Aaron Rodgers all you want. Mans is in year 18. But let's calm down if we haven't been hyped the whole time. What you got, Joe?
You know what? I think the fumble of the week is the NFL in general. You fumble the Deshaun Watson situation, 6 games, $345,000 fine.
This is the best. Well played. Great topic. I love it. I'm sorry, but you're exactly correct on this.
So the NFL fumbled that, and if they go back and try to, I guess, appeal it to Roger Goodell to give them more, it makes them look even worse because you have owners doing the same thing, if not worse, and that they're not getting in trouble, like Jerry Jones, Daniel Snyder, Robert Kraft, who put out a statement talking about it's a bad look. Fool, you were in a brothel getting a
You are a bad look.
Are you kidding? And, like, come on. During Super Bowl week too? Come on, bro. So the NFL with that, and then today's news, as we record this or we do this live, about Tom Brady not being disciplined, but the Dolphins are being disciplined. Tom Brady under contract with the Patriots, and he's trying to get out
of
the Bucs twice. Well, once with the Patriots.
No, twice. Yeah, once with the Patriots, once with the Bucs.
Once with the Bucs. I'm saying Patriots right now. You're like, hey, I don't like Bill. I want to get out of here. I'll come be your quarterback. I want ownership too, though. Okay, nah. Brian Flores is like, nah, man, we don't do things like that here. And then he turns around, doesn't like what's going on in Tampa, and is like, hey, and then they're going to try to bring him go to Miami, Garoppolo go to Tampa, try to circumvent everything. But they'll find the Dolphins, which they should. They'll take away draft compensation and suspend the owner, which they should. But you're not doing it to Tom Brady. Teflon Tom is at it again.
Scandal follows that man everywhere he goes. And the only comment I have to add on to that, Joe, with the Watson situation, and this is the only funny thing I have seen that was actually like kind of appropriately funny, is all you need to know about the NFL is that they're so messed up that they would rather all of these bad things happen than somebody actually bet on the Falcons to win a football game.
Look, this is
that gets a year.
Well, look, okay, so I did a show today out here in Vegas. I was hosting a show out here in Vegas today.
Yeah,
and here's what I said when this was a topic. All that Judge Roberson could do when it came to that is go off what the precedence was. The NFL put 5 cases in front of her, just 5. They didn't put all of them. And when they put them, she went by what they had been done in the past as far as discipline.
Right.
So And in the past, look, Paul Horning, Alex Karras, they were suspended for life, but came back in a year for gambling. So
Right.
there's precedents in the past for gambling on your team in the NFL. This situation,
there's no precedent for
zero.
what was done because there's no evidence. Yeah, there's no evidence of something like this being done from an NFL player.
Exactly.
And so it, thankfully, as Packers fans, there's nothing we've had to watch like this, but it's unfortunate from an NFL standpoint.
Well, there was a scandal back in the 80s. The reason why James Lofton was traded. And he was accused. Him and Eddie Lee Ivory was accused of sexual assault. So that did happen.
And they
back
shipped him out of town.
Way before your time. I was still a little kid when that happened. But and shame on the Cleveland Browns. In from a business standpoint, what they did was shrewd, because his fine would have been in upwards of $10 million if it was a normal contract.
And it's $333,000.
Yeah, so they did it for that. They said, okay, we're going to take a chance. We're going to get a top 3 quarterback in the league that's going through something, and this will blow over eventually. And we're going to go out there and win. We have a once in a generation quarterback. So from a business standpoint, on the field, it was smart. Off the field, did you sell your soul to the devil?
Makes me feel a lot better. And it, not to say that, whatever, but it, makes Aaron Rodgers look a lot more normal, which I never thought I'd say. But
with that dope ass tattoo,
the eye of the tiger. But yes, Joe, it has been a pleasure to talk Packers about you. Talk Packers about you? Talk Packers with you? Talk about the Packers with you. Words are hard. I'm tired. And you've done a lot of talking today as well. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will be back next week with another episode of Immaculate Perceptions. If you like watching Bruce and I make fools of ourselves, we'll be live on Thursday as well for Third Down Thursdays. Check us out there. And make sure to follow Game On Wisconsin for all your Packers content on a daily basis. I believe we have Lombardi's Bar tomorrow and Open Book on Thursday. So make sure to tune in for those. And without further ado, we will talk to you folks next week.
I'm going to the bar.